Philip Whitefield. You're welcome to another new series of music theory, step-by-step beginner's guide and approach to music. In the first video, we talked about the concept of music. We also talked about the scopes of music, and now we're going to be treating musical alphabets, the importance of music, the musical stave, the ledger lines, and the accidentals. So we're going to take them little by little. So, and the first topic we're treating the musical alphabet. What are musical alphabets? The alphabets, just like we read the alphabets in English language. So we read alphabets. So alphabets are from A to G. We have a music it's not all the alphabet that are used to represent notes or identify music notes or label staffs, musical staves or the brace, and we don't use different anyhow alphabet. We use the specific and designated alphabet for music, and they are just A to G. And now we're going to list them out. Now we're going to talk about them. We have the A, we have the B, we have the C, we have the D, we have the E, and we have the F, and we have the G. Now this A to G is talking about all the 7 alphabets. These are the 7 alphabets that constitutes the music itself. Without these alphabets, music has no advent, it has no background, it has no base. This is what constitutes established music, because without this, there's nothing to represent music, there's nothing to identify music, there's nothing to tell people that you want to explain or interpret music. So this music alphabet provide a role in music. So without them, nothing. Music is absurd. Now we're going to talk about music alphabet. So now we have 7 musical alphabets. We have 7 musical alphabets. 7 musical alphabets. So now these 7 musical alphabets, they clearly define what music is all about. So now we're gonna talk about this musical alphabet. Okay, now we're talking about the importance of musical alphabets. One, they are used for leveling the ledger lines. Importance. Ledger lines. The musical stave, they're used for naming the musical stave. The musical stave, we're going to talk about the musical stave right here. Okay, they're also used for in a situation. Okay, them sounds like, okay, on the keyboard when they're playing, we use those alphabets to explain notes. It's used to explain notes in the keyboard or an instrument. It's used to explain notes on any instrument. Okay, now that's what I want us to jot down now. Okay, so that's for the importance. Then for the musical stave, we're going to talk about the musical stave now. We're going to talk about the musical stave. Now, what is a musical stave? The musical stave is a bar made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. In the musical stave, you have, in the musical stave, you have 5 lines and 4 spaces, and those 5 lines and 4 spaces, musical stave. Musical stave, you have 5 lines and 4 spaces. Is it? 5 lines and 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this completes the line, and now we're going to make this space a little bit thicker. This is what we used to represent. You need to come closer. This is what we used to represent the bar, the stave. This is the brace. This is the line. You need to come closer. This is the first line, first space. Is the second. As the second space. This is the 4th space. Okay, and now this is the first line. Let's to this place. Okay, now this is the first line, this is the second line, this is the third line, the fourth line, and then the fifth line. Alright, so now we have what? 5 lines and 4 spaces. And now here it's talking about the lines. Yes, talking about the spaces. It's talking about the spaces. Okay, now why do we use this to represent musical stave? Because musical stave, the 5 lines and 4 spaces have been designed to be able to accommodate notes, to accommodate notes in the musical stave, and this is the word called the bar. This is called the bar. This thickness, there must be a thickness here. This thickness is used for. So we are going to treat a lot of things in the musical stave. So now I said this is a line demarcating, trying to show you this is the fifth from here to this place, from above here to the below here. We have 5 lines. Then from these spaces here we have 4 spaces when we count them. So now this is called the brace. It's called the brace in music. Brace. This is what like I say, it's just like it's kept here so that it could it's links. It's trying to talk about, okay, the brace. Okay, when we use brace, whenever we use brace, we use brace when we have 2 bar, and those 2 bar are when we have when the first bar accommodates the treble clef. When the first bar accommodates the treble clef, and the second bar accommodates the bass clef. So now, when this clef is dropped here, we use the brace to cover the 2. When I duplicate this bar over here, this brace covers the 2. So it's this brace that is linking the two bars. And now this treble clef and this bass clef is trying to tell us that there are 2 different parts, and they are being sung in melody. Okay, so we have represented, we've done a representation here of what a musical stave look like, and now we are going to start kind of how many musical staves do we have, and how many bars and how many braces are we going to see now. The treble we have for the treble stave. We we're going to talk about the great stave too. So for the treble stave we have this as a treble stave. We need to write them down. We'll make this place a little bit thicker, just to tell us that this is what, just to make people understand that this is the beginning of the bar, and this here. Then we have our 4 lines and 3 spaces. Okay, this I think we need to improve it a little bit. Okay, now we're going to draw the treble clef. The treble clef. Okay, treble clef is either called, it's normally known or literally known as the C clef. Treble clef or the C clef. Okay, treble clef or the C clef, or the C clef. C clef. C clef. Okay, so now this is the C clef. Okay, now we're going to draw the treble now. Now this is the treble clef. We're going to draw the treble clef. Now, how to draw the treble clef? How do you draw it? We're going to talk about that now. When you start from this way, you're going to begin from this place. See that? Take it a little bit. Take it a little bit. This is for beginners. Give it a little bit, take it higher a little bit, take it higher, and you curve it, and curve it. Okay, then you turn it this way, take it down a little bit, but you must be very careful. Okay, now this is a little mistake we're going to treat. No, gotcha. All right, now with this what we call, okay, now drawing this treble clef may be a little bit discomforting because you may not be an artist, you may not be someone who's skilled in some artworks and who has some literal skills in art or painting or everything. So you're gonna just have to take it little by little. Okay, let's take it step by step. Now for instance, I want to use this now to draw. Now I want to draw this treble clef. I want to represent it for beginners, how to draw the treble clef. You begin this way, draw your first line. That looks like the base of an umbrella. And you take it this way. You make sure your hand, make sure you form the circle. Take it this way. And you take it. Extend it. There should be a little dot at the pinpoint at the center of the treble clef. Now this may be too close, so we're going to take it down a little bit. Okay, we can draw that again. When you come again, when you come here again, take it, go a little bit, come down, go like this, go like this. Now that's how we represent the treble clef. This we've gotten the treble clef. Okay, there needs to be a hole there. So we've represented a treble clef. So I may want to redraw this again for your own good. Okay, we just want to make sure we are good with drawing the treble clef, because we don't want people to think that it's just an ordinary clef and there's no need for drawing it. Okay, so I'm gonna redraw it again. So now that's it. So now I want to represent the treble clef again. Alright, this is it. I think now it's now cooler than the other one I drew. Now you must make sure that the treble clef is best and perfect. You don't draw something contrary to this. So that's what you need to check. Now the treble clef, I said the treble clef. Okay, now we've talked about, we said the musical stave is made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces, and those 5 lines and 4 spaces are what interpret what the bar is going to look like, and is what modifies or explains what the bar looks like. So when in every clef, in every stave, we have the 5 lines and 4 spaces have each alphabet that represented that they used to identify them. Now for the first line of the treble clef, we have the E. For the second line of the treble clef, we have the G. For this third line of the treble clef, we have the B. For the fourth line of the treble clef, we have the D. And from the 5th line, we have the, but this is a favor. Okay, we have the F. Now we want to get the spaces of this treble clef. By default, the spaces for this treble clef is face. Face, the acronym for the alphabet notes I used to represent this stave is what? Face. Now we're going to start with this F, A, C, and E. Now you see this is kind of look freaky in the eyes a little. You know, when you start from this place, you see E, you see F, you see G, you see A, you see B. So it's kind of accordingly. So we just did something. This is not what we fabricated. It's not based on my own opinion. This is musically instituted, musically affiliated. So it's not. Is this how music is being constructed. This is how a bar is being constructed. So now for the lines and spaces, if you want for easy remembrance of the lines and spaces of the treble stave or the C clef, now we're going to take it this way. You just have to draw a line and a space. You tell it lines and you have spaces. Okay, now you have E, you have G, you have B, you have D, and you have F. Face. Now the spaces is what? F, A, C, E. It's not gonna much because you just have 5 lines and 4 spaces. So now this you want to remember them very well for easy remembrance. This E will be every. You may be using a bit of religious terminology, sir. Every good boy deserves favor. Deserves favor. Okay? Favor. Every good boy deserves favor. Then for the face, favor always comes every day. Favor always comes every day. Always comes every day. Okay, now that's how to represent the treble clef and the treble clef and the lines and spaces. If you want to remember this very easily without any hitch, without any struggle, you just have to remember them by saying every good boy deserves favor. You memorize them every now and then every lines for the treble clef or the treble stave or the C clef. You said every good boy deserves favor for the lines, and favor always comes every day. E, G, B, D, F, F, A, C, E. E, G, B, D, F, F, A, C, E. Every good boy deserves favor. Favor always comes every day. Space, face. Space is equals to face. Lines are F, E, G, B, D, F. E, every good boy deserves favor. So we've gotten the treble stave. And then the pause a little bit. And now this is the symbol that is used to represent the alto stave. And in the first stave we talked about the treble stave goes this way, and you should correct it. It should be the G clef, the treble stave, or the G clef, or the G clef, not C clef. Treble stave or the G clef. So that should be corrected. That should be corrected. The treble stave or the G clef. Yeah. So we're gonna talk again about the alto stave or the C clef. Now this is the alto stave, and the lines and spaces that you're gonna use for representing the alto staves. Follow after Christ every day. You're gonna be using some religious terms. Lines and spaces, follow after Christ every day, Christ every day, follow after Christ every day. Okay, then we have G, C-E-G. Okay, then for the spaces, God brings down favor. God brings down favor. Now, this will be for God, this will be for brings, and this will be down, and this will be for favor. Now this is what follow after Christ every day. I mean Christ, I mean the religious Christ, you know. After Christ every day. Christ every day, Gloria. Then the G, which is meant to be below after the E, will become Gloria. Alright, so now we have this represented. Now you're gonna align them on the bar. We're going to arrange them on the bar now. Now beginning from the lines. Now we have F, follow, after, Christ, everyday, glory. Then we have the spaces, God, brings, down, favor. You see that? Now if we want to follow alphabetically, if this is in order, we have a F, we have a G, we have a A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So we are balanced. Now we're going to talk about the tenor stave in horns. We have the C clef. We have the tenor stave or the C clef. Then now this is what the symbol. You can see that there is a slight similarity between the tenor clef or stave and the alto stave of clef. Just that this is a little bit little and the other one a little bit bigger. Alright, so now we have the D, F, A, C, E. Now the E, so to say, for easy remembrance of them, I'm going to write them now. Let me write this very well. So, easy remembrance of them. What do we say? The lines and spaces. We have do fouls, you know, I mean fouls, I mean hands, or the fouls always cry every day. It's kind of a question, but it's good for memorizing. Alright, every day. Alright, do fouls always cry every day. Then EGBD should be eat good bread daily. Eat good bread. Eat good bread daily. Now that's what we use to represent the tenor stave and tenor clef. Now for the bass clef, we're gonna need to clean these a little bit. We've written the bass clef, the bass stave, or the G clef. Then now we're going to draw the bass symbol, what we use to recognize the bass clef, or the D clef. So the bass clef or the F clef. Sorry. Okay, we are going to use these to clean that. Bass clef or the F clef. Now we're going to fill with it now. You might take note of something. If you didn't get it very well, you need to wipe it again to make sure you get the curve, the bass curve. It's going to be a little bit complicated. You may need to get it. Redraw it again just to make sure that you get the exact bass clef, and the bass comes like this. You get that? We'll have these two double dots, the numerating and the denominating dots beside it. This dot is used to identify or used to identify or know what this treble stave is. This bass stave is. So now for the bass we have good boy deserves favor always, and for the spaces we have every verbal choristers 8 grapes. Good boy deserves favor always. Oh, sorry. As on the space, tonality will teach us a lot of things. Good boy deserves favor always. Then for the spaces, all choristers eats grapes. For the lines and spaces, let's write that. Good boy deserves favor always. Good boy deserves favor always. favor always. Alright, then for the spaces we have all choristers eat grapes. Eat grapes. Okay, now we've seen that everything is set for the bass clef, and now we're going to move into what we call the great stave or staff. Now the great stave or staff, we may clean this a little bit. Let's discuss what. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. We're going to deal with the great stave. Great stave or staff. Or great staff. You know, it's the same thing. So now we're going to draw the five. This time around we're going to draw 2 bars, 2 musical stave, and this musical stave is going to contain 2 bars. Now let's go this way. Now this is a great stave or a great staff, and now this if this is the brace, it's called a brace. It's called a brace. Which is called a brace. This bracket says as joining these 2 bars is called the stave. So now we've gotten these 2 bars. We're going to explain the 2 bars. What we mean by great stave, great staff is you know, the 2 bar line, the 2 bar that is you know, that's trying to explain a musical piece. You know, that's trying to explain, you know, if you want to go now, let's take for example in George Frederick Handel or anthems, you know, where you use stave to sing or to do anything, or to do any musical piece. This is how to represent it. The brace, you have to put the two bars together. And now the first the bar, you know, you've seen mostly in music sometimes, in musical anthem or whatever, you will see lines like this, and you see the treble clef this way, go this way, then so that's just it. So these 2 bar lines we're going to talk about them now. Now this particular treble clef or G clef is for the first bar line. You should take note of that. Then the second bar line is the bass clef. These 2 dots is always part of the symbol. You see these 2 dots always part of the symbol here. So we should take note of that. It will be recognizance of that. Okay. For the treble clef or the G clef, those lines and spaces which you treated, we're going to replace them. We're going to replace them on this bar line because they can't be empty. So we need to replace them. Now we have you have E, you have E, you have E in the line. You have G. Every good boy deserves favor. Now for the spaces, all the spaces say all choristers eat. Okay, it says favor always come every day. Favor always comes every day. It always comes every day. Face. Then for the bass, it says what? It says G, good boy deserves favor always. See that? I know there are no similarity in them, just the arrangements that is similarity, but the alphabet that I used to denote the treble clef that interprets what particular clef you are using. In music is different, totally different. Now, all choristers eat grapes. For the spaces, you should take note of that We just taught that in musical stave when we discussed the types of clefs. Now we're going to talk about what's the ledger lines next, but that's what they call the middle C. We're not trading keyboard now, we're just reading the musical theory. So because for that reason I can't use the keyboard for now, but I may partly use the keyboard. I would have shown you what the middle C is. What the middle C is trying to talk about. Now that's what we call ledger line. Now this E, now the letter before E is called D. Now this is where the B. Then after the letter for D is called before D you have the C. This is where the C will be. Now when this as at this point, at this point, the C here is called the middle C, simply because it started when you calculate it. The third octave of C is this where it started on the keyboard. So if we are to explain further, this is either called the middle C, and this C is not anyhow C. You draw it like musical C. And the way you draw the C, let it don't look like an ordinary alphabet. Okay, because alright, so that's it. So now this place is called the middle C, but you won't just leave this C like this, because that's where ledger lines come into the picture. Ledger lines and what your ledger lines means. Now this is it. Why is this ledger line here? Ledger lines are lines that are used to accommodate more alphabets on the musical stave, because without those ledger lines, those alphabets, if those alphabets are imputed without the ledger lines, the musical stave makes no sense. So because it can't be ledger lines, without the ledger lines, those musical alphabets can't be there. They can't be added. That's why without the ledger line, without the ledger line, you can't impute the alphabet there. So you need the ledger lines to be able to make this sensible enough. Okay, now we've gotten the middle C. I'm going to treat the ledger lines now. So under this C is also called C3 in a range of octave. In a pianoforte keyboard, okay, the pianoforte keyboard, we have up to from A to A, we have up to, I think should be 12 keys, 12 octaves of A. 12 octaves of A. Yeah, we have up to 12 octaves of A. Now in a standard keyboard, we have C to C, we have 6 octaves of C. Alright, now why do we have this? Because we, for the reason of cost and everything, so that some may not want to afford this pianoforte, and this for the standard keyboard. Okay, now this is of A. Now this for a standard keyboard, and for a standard keyboard you have 6 octaves of C. So from what demarcates the 6 octaves is what is called C3. When you calculate the C, you have C1, you have C2, you have C3, you have C4, you have C5, and you have C6. For instance, we are playing on C on the keyboard. Here it's called the middle C. It's called the middle C. Okay, you understand it now. So on the keyboard, for instance, we are playing on C. Just take for example this. So this this is where we want to play. For instance, we are playing on the keyboard. Our do, I mean the tonic of our notes will begin from this place, and below is called the bass. This, okay, now you see this bass, this bar line that is made specially for the bass clef or the F clef is from here below the C3 down. Then for the treble clef, from the C3 upwards is for the treble clef. So now you're gonna need this. Now on a standard keyboard, they sometimes put this to remind you of the octave you are playing on as a keyboardist or as a pianist or whatsoever. So people will play on the piano on the keyboard. Now that's all for now. We've gotten what we want to get. Now, so you may be wondering, we got a middle C, we got a ledger line on the treble clef. What about the bass clef? You know, we've understood what the C here, what the C is doing here. You see the ledger line across the C is used to represent ledger lines. So ledger line across is used to accommodate more notes. So we can go further than that, but we will talk about ledger lines next now. So we have the C, the D, the E, the F, the G, the B, the A, the B, the C, the D, the E, the F. And if we want to continue over now, now if we cannot complete, what completes the spaces is the lines. The lines are what completes the spaces. The spaces, the lines, the spaces doesn't complete the line. What I'm trying to say is, you don't start from here to complete. You don't say after F, because F is on the space. Then the next one will be E. It's wrong. It's not musically accepted, and that is all this absorbed from musical theory. So, but when we go a little bit further, we don't start from here to complete the musical stave. We start from the lines. These are the lines. The lines are the left hand rising, the left hand elevation, and the diagonal elevation. While the right hand is the diagonal elevation. So we should know that this left hand, this left side should be for the lines, and here should be for the spaces. Now, if you want to complete this, just like how we did it there. Now, what's the next alphabet following the F? You have the G. The G will be here. Now, what's the next alphabet following the G? You have the A. That's how we get. Now, this A won't just be A. That will be a ledger line across it. That's it. You see that? That's how it's meant to be. The ledger line goes across the A so that it can be able to accommodate more notes. We're going to talk about ledger lines now, and we are done with the great Stave. This is how. Okay, now with these lines and spaces, now you may be wondering why are these alphabets? Why do we use alphabets to represent musical state? Now, with these alphabets are what we, when you want to sight read the music. When I mean sight read, I mean interpreting the musical stave. This musical stave, something like this, interpreting the musical stave from these notes, this meaning to this crotchet to tonic sulfur. For instance, if the crotchet is half crotchet or full crotchet, you can interpret it to a tonic sulfur. So there's a difference between the beats and the sulfur. This is a staff, and this is the sulfur notation. So that's why we use alphabets. Now, those alphabets, lines and spaces are good. That's what we use to sight read. Without these lines and spaces, sight reading can't come into the picture. So these lines and spaces helps us to know which particular place, as in how do we calculate, how do we sight read, how do we interpret the musical state. So this helps us to interpret the musical state, and provided that we already memorized this. So we take this as though, okay, let's just take, for example, we are playing on a key of C. and on C is common time. Key of C, and C doesn't have any sharp or flat. So we're going to talk about sharp or flat. That's in the accidentals. So if for instance we're playing on C and C is just here, like we doesn't have, and for instance we're playing on common time. We're going to treat beats in the next class. Then we're playing on common time, and common time cannot be represented as C 4/4 or 4/4, yeah, 4/4. So that's how we represent common time, C 4/4, and 4/4 means 4 crotchet beats in the bar. That's how we represent common time. Now, common time, when we want to interpret this, we only have in mind that the lines and the treble clef it has been arranged to be able for us to be able to interpret what is in the stave. So we begin by saying C. We're going to begin from if for instance, okay, we're going to clean the board. For instance, we want to take something now. Let's clean this place. For instance, we want to talk about when you do particle in a lot of things. We need to balance things. We don't do things on theory law. Okay, now this is the treble clef, and for instance, we want to sight read a piece of music. And in this treble clef, we have, in the treble clef shares 2 parts. The treble and the treble. Okay, the treble and the soprano. Treble and it shares 2 parts, and that part is the treble and the alto. Get that? And this bass clef shares though we have a tenor clef, we have an alto clef, but in music mostly this is how the brace. Whenever you see the brace is what collapses or holds the 2 bars together, which means this is a single part you're going to play. So if for instance, okay, you're going to play something now, the treble, the alto, the tenor, and the bass. See that? Now this bar line shares 2 parts. This second bar line shares 2 parts. And now we want to interpret something. And for instance, we are playing with common time. Whenever you see when you see this kind of C in the musical stave, it means common time. Or if you do not see the C and you see something like 4/4, it means 4 crotchet beats in the bar. We're going to discuss beats in our next lesson. But when you see this, it means the beats is ta, 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 ta. Okay. Now, for instance, you want to play, on a metronome. Let me just set a little bit metronome on this place. Now it's a little bit faster, Now, on the metronome on this place, then I give it reduce the tempo of the metronome. Now, tap, tap. Okay, it's a little bit slow. Two, ta, 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 ha, ta, ta. That's it. You see that? You get the point now. You see that? You see that? All right. So that's how it's meant to be. So that metronome gives us it gives us a sense of beats. We are able to understand that these beats That's how it's meant to be. Okay, now if for instance we want to add something, want to add a note on this place now, and the note goes this way. Okay, and we have something like this. We have this, we have this, we have this. Okay, now just take for instance we have this note, we want to represent something, just want to use something to represent something. Okay, we're going to use this musical stave staff. So stave is the plural and staff is the singular. Then we want to use the staff to represent story, to interpret something. If for instance we are on the space, you're on the space. What is the space? Sorry, you're on the line, I mean to say. Every good boy deserves favor. If for instance we want to start something now and we are playing on the key of C on the keyboard or the pianoforte, we're going to take for example you're playing on the key of C, and for that reason let's just impute the C, let it be that we are playing from this place. This is not E, this is C, and there's a ledger line to accommodate it, and this D. Now, this is not meant to be in a musical piece, but let's just take, for example, this is what we want to play, and this is our root note, this is our tonic. Okay, now this is our tonic. Okay, let's just take, and this tonic means do. Okay, now we have do, we have okay, now this is not D, this is D and not do. Now if for instance this is our root note and this C, okay, now if on the C you have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, and for do you have this your do, this your re, this your mi. Now you have to use the alphabet. Now you want to do something, C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, okay, sorry, this is a space, F, G, A, okay, sorry, this is A, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, in music, you're not going to see these alphabets. You really have those alphabets in your head, provided you do know what this treble clef means. You get the point. So now, if you want to draw it now, come this way. Now you use your do, isn't it? Your do, this is your re, this is your mi, this is your fa, this is your sol. Now, if you want to know what this note means, this is a crotchet, and a crotchet is 1/4 beat. Now these are so for instance you want to play this note on the keyboard, it will be like so, this so. Now let me explain what that means. This, for instance, this is a do, this is a re, this is a mi, this is a fa, this is a sol, this is a la, this is a si, this is a do. You see, we've gotten from the C3, yeah, this is a C3, the middle C. We've entered the C2. In the C2 we are going further to the C1. Okay, now this is do, this is the re, the mi, the fa, the sol, la, si, do, the re, do, the re, and this is the re again, this is the mi, and this is the fa, and so on and so forth. Now okay, now so if this note will represent someone get something now, so now this note automatically represents sol, this note automatically represents sol, this note automatically represents C, this note automatically represents re. We form a chord, we form the chord in C, and that's the sol chord. And now this re, the next note we talked about is a fa. Don't worry about how these notes and how to draw them and everything. We're going to deal with notes and beats later. We know why the beats are like this and why they have to, Okay, now that's the fact. So for instance, okay, I also have a note over there, and the fact that the father saw the la, this is to be the la. The last one there should be the la, because there's a space there. That space covers the saw, and this should be the la. Get that now? Alright, so now we have so, si, re, so, ti, re, fa, la. So, ti, re, fa, la. In musical alphabet, represent them in musical alphabet. You have your C, you have the D, you have your G, you have the B, you have the D, you have the F, and you have the next note will be G, G, A, F, G, A. Now you have the A. This is A. Get that now? That's the A. Right, there's a space here, but we didn't put any notes here, so there's no need for labeling it. So we understand now what we are trying to say. So what I'm trying to say is, reading the notes, and don't worry about the common time. We're going to treat beats now next class. Now what I'm trying to say is, this alphabet now has given us a sense of perception. The sense of perception that if before you can able to sight read, you need the alphabet to sight read. And once you have interpreted them in alphabet, you also have to interpret them in the tonic cipher for us to be able to convert this musical stave to a suffragette. So that's it. So now we're going to be ending the class now. We want to treat every lecture lines, but we're going to end the class now. And I would like you to do well to subscribe to the channel. If you learned something great today, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel. I hope you're jotting down some things, because music is porous. It's so volatile. So if you do not, if you touch it today and you don't touch it over and over again, it tends to escape your memory. It tends to elude your memory. So you need to continue to do some research. Continue to do in-depth research. In-depth research, continue to study it. Continue to study the music beyond what you've been taught. And if you have your questions, below the comment box, you need to comment and ask me your questions. If you need more and you need advanced or intensive explanation on what you don't understand from what I said in class. So do well to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and make sure you share the video if you like. Give it a thumbs up, and make sure that you are enjoying the class, and let me know what you want, and make sure you put those things down, and we'll see in our next lesson. Thank you.